And welcome, race fans, to another night of down and dirty dirt track racing. Hopefully, it is going to be another high octane, high output, just high off the wall racing that we have seen, namely last week between both of these series. They both put on a heck of a show, and it was definitely a good one to watch here. But we are here for the Mini Motorsport Doors 35. We are at the dirt track at Charlotte. This track here is probably one of the most fun tracks to run here, the side-by-side racing, multiple grooves. You folks are in for a damn good show tonight. As always, I am Dustin Logston, and alongside me is the legend, the myth, the man, Mr. J. Stan, Jeremy Stanley. How are we doing tonight, Jeremy?
Definitely better than yesterday, that's for sure, man. I feel like a whole new person, ready to watch some exciting racing here at the dirt track of Charlotte.
Yeah, indeed. And I tell you what, if the racing is anything like last week and anything like the racing that we seen yesterday in the Fix series, this should be a hell of a show that we're about to see here. I tell you what, this track posed some really good racing last night. I know you weren't able to catch it, feeling a little under the weather. But again, the racing that was there was amazing. The side-by-side, it's at times 3 wide, multiple groove. You had those pushing the cushion up on the high side and those trying to get a little bit of grip in the middle. And there were some that were cutting it low off the corner. So, it was all over the place, but the racing was amazing to say the least.
I don't expect anything different. This track always produces some awesome racing for sure. Pretty wide track. You got two different banking styles there, so it usually starts off in the middle, right? Typically, anyways, and people find themselves scraping the wall, or if their car is really hooked up, they find those white tires there at the inside of the track. I've always loved this track, especially with this track and car combo. It's not a bad thing to watch these two combinations run side by side. I'm expecting a lot of good racing tonight. I got some new faces here. We see a couple anyways, so definitely interested and excited to watch this event tonight.
Yes, and yeah, it's always good to see new faces here and watching them in practice before the broadcast started up, just to try to get a feel of what to expect. And it looks like we're going to have some fast drivers out there, so it should be a really good show. Now, you did make mention of the white tires on the inside. You got to be careful. That's one of the Achilles heels of this track. The wall is pretty forgiving here on the outside of the dirt track at Charlotte, but those tires will force you to join the over the limits aerospace program, shooting you sky high for sure. So that's something that the drivers they want to get close to if they're trying to run that low line to try to cut off as much time as possible, but you don't want to get too close to it.
No kidding. Aerospace program for sure. These things aren't real life tires. Those things are cemented. They don't budge. So if you hit them, there's no give. Your car's done. Or it's definitely a calling for a fast repair. That's definitely for sure.
Yes. So before we go any further here, now the qualifying and the format of these dirt races is a little different. For those of you that may not catch the dirt races, drivers do qualify on time, and all that does is set up the starting order for the heat races. It's the finishing order of the heat races that is going to determine the starting order of the main event for tonight's Mini Motorsport Doors 35. So with that being said, Jeremy, why don't you take
Zach Burnett going to be taking the top spot there, and by 1/1000th of a second will follow back. Second place will be Swade Melgard, if I did pronounce that correctly. Third place will be Christopher Hill, and fourth place is Jonathan Henry. Your third row will be Joshua Pack. On his outside will be Jeremy Vaughn. Row number 4 in 7th place is Kenny Haight, and on the outside of him in 8th place is Austin Yates. And the round out the field will be Blake Trewick, and his outside will be Garrett Cooper.
All right. So again, amazing times at 1/1000th of a second. I don't think we, since broadcasting these events here, I don't think we've seen a qualifying time that close. But again, should be just with the qualifying times being what they are, should be one hell of a show tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you might see that in some other sports to 1/1000th of a second, and that's with a faster car. So when your car is going slow and you still get that time, like I virtually identical lap times. It's not a big of a or it's a much smaller of a difference rather than a faster car. So that's their setups are going to be. Them two alone should put on a good show if they're going to run equal times like that all night.
Yes, it definitely should be a good show. Now, with that being said, last week we had made mention about a bounty system. Now, we haven't heard anything from the admins or anything else on that idea. But you know what? Just for a little fun here, we know that Zach Burnett has been on a rail in the Street Stock Series here, and picks up right where he left off last week as he pulled quick time for tonight's event. So now the question is there going to be anybody that can challenge him? He was in a whole new zip code last week when it come to the finish of the race. Is he going to be able to be challenged? I mean, is Suede Melgard going to be able to really pressure him? And some of the other drivers that are there, again, all these times are really close. Could tonight be the night that Burnett gets knocked off his podium?
Suede's not even thinking about that. He's new to this field for this league, and he knows nothing about it. He just wants to go and get that W. He sees he's got a very similar lap time to Zach, so actually he outdid him in practice even by a whole 10th. So that is his competition. I think Zach Burnett's got to step it up a little bit more than what he has been doing because he is there on time. Heat 1 is about to get underway. Let me go ahead and go through that quick starting order there. So all the odd positioned qualifiers will be taking Heat 1, which will be Zach Burnett on the inside, and on his outside will be Christopher Hill. Row number 2 will be Joshua Pack and Kenny Haight, and the 5th place car for Heat race number 1 is Blake Trewick.
Yes, so again, it's all the odd place drivers from qualifying, which is why you see Burnett out there as he took quick time, so that's at number 1 qualifying position. These drivers here, I expect to see some really good racing. Yesterday's racing, there was a lot of side-by-side, a lot of beating and keep the racing going. Now, you did see the pace truck pull off here. That's because pit road is actually on the backstretch. These drivers still have to pace, so they are pacing around coming out of turn 4, getting ready to take that green flag as Burnett pulls him out of turn 4. Green flag flies. Racing is underway. Burnett leads him off into 1 with the 5 of Chris Hill on his high side.
2x2 exiting turn 2 here. Little contact there between the first and second place. They're still side by side entering turn 3 here. 2 rows deep. Some really good intense racing on the first lap. Number 5 gets a really good run on the outside and takes the overall top spot.
So again, that's that mid to high line coming in. It seems like Burnett's struggling a little bit with his car setup. It seemed like he had a little trouble in that last set of corners, actually setting that front nose there, and it allowed Chris Hill to actually space it out a little bit. He's got to be careful, though, because he's got the 46 of Kenny Haight nipping at the bit there on the backside, as well as the 24 of Josh Pack. As Pack and Haight are racing
on the top side, definitely gave it a good effort there. Zach Burnett and Christopher Hill still running nose to tail here. This is actually a 10-lap event for these heats. We usually see a 6 or 8-lapper, so to see a 10-lapper is kind of cool. A little more practice laps for these drivers. Starting to space out a little bit more other than the top 2 spot, and they're still going nose to tail and entering lap 5 here of 10. I think I agree with you. Zach Burnett's his car's not where we typically see it. It's not in the lead, so he's definitely got some work to do, especially if he wants to, compete with Suede in the main event. But rest of the field, Kenny's actually starting to catch back a little bit up on Joshua Pax. A little bit slowly but surely, he's found a new neutral line there. Nothing too high, nothing too low. It seems to be working best for him.
Yeah, as he is closing in on it. Again, you see these drivers searching all over the track. That's these heat races are used for that a lot. 1, to see how the setup is handling, see how the car is handling, and 2, kind of feel out the track, see where your car is set up for, see where it's going to be fast. As we see Chris Hill and Zach Burnett have almost identical lane entries going into turns 1 and 3, but they vary from the apex off. as Burnett is all over the back end of the 5 there, but Chris Hill is not showing any signs of peer pressure whatsoever. He knows he's holding that top spot.
Easier to run your own line. He knows that Zach runs a great race, clean race, so like he can maintain his line without any worry because he knows he's not going to get dumped or anything of that nature. Still knows the tail. Looks like he runs a little bit higher, Zach Burnett does, and then kind of gets a little bit lower on exit, which produces that beggar run. It's just Christopher Hill has the preferred line, which is kind of blocking Zach a little bit as they enter the final lap here, lap 10. Let's see if he gives it one shot, see if he ducks down low. That's the only thing he can do. Nope, he's going to run actually right up against the wall to try something a little different. And gets a good run off the bottom, but won't produce enough. Christopher Hill takes top spot, Zach Burnett, P number 2. Third place will go to Joshua Pack. Fourth, Kenny Haight. And to round out the heat race number 1 top 5 is Blake Trewick.
All right, that was an excellent race that we had there towards the tail end, the last couple laps. Actually on board, we had a where Jeremy, you were talking about it was cutting off the run that's Burnett was actually having because he actually had to pull it down more to stay out of the fender of Hill.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's definitely, like, when this track spreads out, it will get a little racier, but typically for the dirt track at Charlotte, it is single file, kind of, in a way, in that mid-groove. But it will space out over time. You better believe that for sure. They'll be running right against that wall. That'll be your preferred line. If their car feels really good, it will be down, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, down there next to the white tires as well, depending on how the car feels. Heat race number 2 about to get underway. Looks like it's going to be a 4-car field. Garrett Cooper did not make the starting order here, so first place will be Swade Melgard in his first start here. Second place on his outside will be Jonathan Henry. Third place will be Jeremy Vaughn, and the last car in tonight's field for heat race number 2 is Austin Yates.
All right, so yeah, again, 4-car. We had been seeing just single heat race events here recently, but enough to break this down into 2 heats, 5 in heat 1, 4 in heat 2, seeing as Cooper could not make that race. The green flag does fly, and we do see Melgard leading him down there, but we know that Henry does like that high side. It does take his car, seems like it takes his car a few laps to really get into the swing of things, but once he gets in his groove, we seen last week, man, he was powering through and finished in the podium, second place with just a beat-up, mashed-up car that didn't even look like it was going to drive.
Yeah, 100%. He definitely doesn't call himself the tacky hero. Like, it settles in after a while, then he gets comfy. Probably we'll see the same thing out of him tonight. I don't expect anything different. He's actually put on some pretty good muscle, at least showing it off anyways here in the beginning laps of heat race number 2 here. Side by side here for the lead. Looks like Swade's going to clear and take the top spot solely, entering the backstretch here, which he sure does. Puts him side by side. Jonathan Henry and Jeremy Vaughn here. Jeremy's running a much lower line here. It almost seems going to work, and he almost takes up and left just enough room for Jonathan Henry on the outside to contend again, and he gets a much better run this time. Yep, about the same actually, between there and turn 3 and 4. Virtually identical lap times between them, and surprisingly enough, it's not allowing Swade to pull away after they're running side by side.
Yeah, like you were saying, this is where the 2 lines actually come in. Vaughn has got that fast line in, but in order to complete that slide job pass up on the front, he's got to clear the 7H of Henry, and Henry just gets that good run closing off that line for Vaughn, and his nose is just there, which is why they are side by side. But I tell you what, Vaughn is making that low line work, even with his exit being cut off by the driver on that high side. He is making that low line work, and we do see the 15 of Swade is running more of a midline down to low and then back up to mid again. And, of course, we've already talked about Henry, who has been really dedicated to that high line since the drop of the green flag.
It almost seems like Jeremy has a different gear ratio set up on that car to run the bottom. His car is one of the very few that have been running the bottom, so it definitely won't be as slick down there if not many people run it. So, as I was saying earlier, toward the end of this race, it's either high or low, and I expect Jeremy with this current setup right now to be right there at the very bottom. Entering with 2 laps to go, Suede has pulled away by at least 5 to 10 car lengths here. Entering turn 1, Jonathan Henry still getting some decent pressure by Jeremy Vaughn. The 22 of Austin Yates is actually trying some really fast low entries, especially in turn 1, and it seems to be working until about midway, and then his car just dies off, just way too much slide, and really gets bogged down. Final lap here, Suede still pulling away a little bit more. Jeremy Vaughn actually almost side by side with Jonathan there. Is he going to try one more time for turn 3 and run different lines? Jonathan took the easy entry just to secure his position. So Suede, Melgard top spot there. Jonathan Henry P2, Jeremy Vaughn P3, and to round out the field will be Austin Yates in P4.
Yeah, and that race right there is exactly what we were talking about. It's with the way that it is set up, you could run completely different lines all the way through here and still be fast in your own way. I mean, we've seen the top 3 finishers of the heat race there. They all were running a different line. Henry up top, you had Melgard in the center, and you had Vaughn down on that low line. So again, it should set up for a really good race tonight. Now that they actually have this track actually has some laps into it, and you can actually start seeing a lot of those racing grooves and a lot of the sheen really start forming up here, as well as the cushion up on the top side.
Yeah, it's just going to get more and more of the same there as the track builds up until about closer to the end of the race. And I expect the bottom start to get slicked up just a little bit more, just because that line's just going to spread out naturally. So the field has been reset, pending on the heat position. So we'll go through that final grid for tonight's main event here. So P number 1 is going to go to Christopher Hill. Second place will be Suede Melgard on his outside. Row number 2 is Zach Burnett. On his outside will be Jonathan Henry. Position number 5 in row number 3 is Joshua Pack. And in 6th place is Jeremy Vaughn. 7th place will go to Kenny Haight. And then 8th place will be Austin Yates. And then to round out the field will be Blake Treywick in position number 9. Garrett looks like he did not grid once again, so he will just claim the 10th spot there in tonight's field.
Yeah, unfortunate. I know that they were kind of having some issues and troubles trying to get everything rolling. They had issues since that car rolled off the hauler to get in here. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We're here each and every week. This league is here each and every week. So hopefully they can get things set up and get things ready to roll for next week. Again, you did see the pace truck peel off. Don't let that fool you at this track here. It's got a different pit road on it. But again, we are going through turns 3 and 4. That number 5H leads them off. Green flag flies. We are underway. Again, Hill on the inside, and you have Melgard on the outside. Woo! Burnett dives it down low into that first turn, really trying to get a bite, and has to lock the front brakes up, which allows the 7H of Henry to pass on that high side. And now Vaughn pressuring, and here you got the 46 of Kenny Haight. But again, Burnett is still not giving up that position to Henry very much, as you already see Chris Hill is falling back to second, so Melgard was able to clear him on that high side after the drop of the green flag.
Man, they were 3 by 3 by 3, and they still are there in the back of the field there. I'm seeing a lot of upset cars right now, especially that first lap, so that tells me they're set up for the long run, not the short run. A lot of cars just wiggling and trying to just have some grip here in the beginning of this race, but they kind of single filed out, except for the back there. Christopher Hill running. Oh, big check up there by Zach Burnett, it looks like. He kind of reclaimed it, but he's going to lose his spot to Christopher Hill as he drops back to 3rd place. Suede Melgard, the newbie here, so to speak, of the league, just going to take about a 5-car length advantage here entering turn 3 on lap number 4. They start a little dicier side by side. It actually looks like for 2nd to 3rd, Christopher Hill and Zach Burnett. Zach wants to reclaim his side and make some contact rather there. Big checkup. Zach's going to re-slide back up. Definitely going to fall back into 3rd, and then 4th place here. Jonathan Henry's going to try to take advantage here.
Yeah, I tell you what, the 5H and the 14Z, they were swapping paint back and forth for probably about a good lap there, making a little contact, getting each other squirrely. Again, these drivers have nothing but respect for each other. They leave it all out there. But again, you see Burnett is not giving that position up. He's battling back, but you see the crossover by Hill, putting the nose back on the inside, trying to reclaim that spot, going down way low on the inside with Burnett on that high side. I tell you what, though, the more that these two race, could possibly open the door up for that 7H of Henry, but Henry's got his hands full with the 8 of Jeremy Vaughn back there. Those two picking up right where they left off from their heat race. But they've got to be careful because I tell you what, the 24 of Josh Pack is nipping at the bit on that low line as those two are battling.
Yeah, he's definitely found something down there that he likes, and he's running it right up against those white tires there, just a few inches away from him for sure. I want to notate that Zach Burnett has found the high, wide, and handsome line, especially in turn 3 and 4. It looked like the last lap. He's found a new groove up there as he runs it right there, just right up against that wall. Seems to be most comfortable for him at this time. As that midline starts to slick up a little bit, they are changing their lines. Suede is actually kind of running a little bit lower, where the fresh dirt is still kind of sitting right now. So the two different lines between first and second place, and they run almost identical lap times, which is typical for this track, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is, and like you said, they're running two different lines. Is Suede Melgard is running that lower line just below that buildup of dirt, where Burnett has been running that high side. I don't know if Burnett is just testing it because he has swapped back down, running almost an identical line to what Melgard had been running. So I don't know if he was just up there testing the waters to see what was going on. I mean, we are expecting that high line is going to come in, and that is going to be the preferred and fast way around this track. History has told us, and the amount of races we've seen has told us, and just basic math and geometry and physics tells us that that's where everything is going to work up towards for that cushion. But again, it didn't come in until later aspects of the races yesterday. But again, if you've been to a race, you've been to one race. This race could be completely different depending on how they run it, so that high line could come in sooner or later than what it has in previous races.
If you're watching this, but Christopher Hill's line right now, especially in 3 and 4, is something to watch here. He is just throwing it into the bottom, and it slides all the way up the track. I don't know if it's just him searching or if he's feeling comfortable with it. A little more casual right there in this entry, but the past few, he's really just sliding it deep. Zach Burnett, an unusual spam. At this pace, they're going to be door to door. Let's see if Mr. Sway can hold him off.
Yeah, and as you can tell, we're on board with Burnett. We were on board with Chris Hill watching his particular line going through. And we are now on board with Burnett watching his line compared to the leader of Melgard. And right now, Melgard's still running that midline entry all the way through. And you see Burnett dives it low. He's getting closer to those white tires. But it seems like he's losing a little bit of steam here. It doesn't look like Melgard is mate until we get a few more laps on this track. Again, we're only 12 laps into, or 17 laps into this, so we're right around that halfway point. We still got a lot of racing to go.
Yeah, 100%. Zach Burnett lost 2/100, so yeah, virtually identical again. But they're also running the same line around the track, maybe a little bit different right there for Zach, trying something different. Really slides it. He's going to lose a lot of speed on exit. As far as the distance away from the leader, he actually gained almost 2/10, so that actually worked a lot. He is getting real close. He's found something different. With that entry in turn 3, I expect to see it again right here, which we sure do. He throws it in nice and deep. Let's see if he can get it to stick one more time. As you can kind of tell too, that shimmy, or the shim that's coming off the track, that's not there anymore because they've all found the low line, and it's actually covered up the slick part of the track. So the line actually might reset here. Kind of a little unexpected of what I was guessing. I thought more people would be on the outside. I see a couple people in the back trying to run really high, wide, and handsome, at least one car in particular back there. That time around, Zach Burnett actually gained another 2/10, so he's going to be there here real shortly. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that. But Joshua Pack and Jeremy Vaughn running all side by side right now during turn 3. That was Joshua Pack in the back that's actually scraping some paint off his side panel there and still making passes at the same time. My car feeling real good on the top side right now, but everybody else is very content at the bottom.
Yeah, Pack has got that car hooking up on that high side. Just as I say that, he had in the middle line gets loose and pulls it down pit road. So not sure what is going on with the 24 of Pack, but again, he was up there battling for position with Vaughn and just made a beeline down pit road. So he does relinquish that position to Vaughn. And now as Vaughn is trying to chase down to see if he can't catch up with Henry, where Henry and Chris Hill had been kind of going back and forth. Henry trying to chase down Chris Hill. And I know that they were within about a car length of each other here for about the last 4 or 5 laps now. They've been kind of battling it out. So, again, that's a good battle there for third place. And we do know that Burnett, as you see, Henry got a good run off that one there and has to completely realign where he's at. Hill slides up on that corner, opens it up on that bottom side. Henry puts his nose down there, still has a little bit down there as these two are going side by side. Henry white down by those white tires. And again, pulling it side by side right off. These guys are within feet of each other racing like this, and they are not given an inch more.
Yeah, Christopher's found something. He just clears them, takes sole position of P number 3. I think, yeah, he's found something. It's going to be a little too late if he's going to do anything for the leaders, but right now, actually, we just got a report that Joshua Pack ran out of gas. So that's definitely unfortunate. Did not put enough for tonight's event, so that's why he did pull down the pit road the way he did. As we go back to the leaders here, Zach Burnett's trying that line that he tried earlier in the race where he slides it deep into the entry of turn 3 anyways, and again here in turn 1 he has to check up as he almost tags the bumper of Suede. He's kind of searching it away because there's no way you can throw it in that deep and expect to pull or maintain your momentum there when you got a car checked up on the bottom. So Suede's kind of playing a little bit of defensive maneuvers here. That's going to force Mr. Zach Burnett to find something a little different as he tries it right there a little bit higher than his last few laps anyways. We got about 5 laps to go as we get to the to the start finish line at this point in time. What do you think, Dustin? Do you think he's got a chance, or do you think Suede's going to pull it off on his rookie start?
I tell you what, if Suede Melgard keeps running the line, cutting off the runs that Burnett has, and it's going to make Burnett work even harder. That's why you see Zach kind of seeking around and looking around to see what he can't do. As long as Suede does that, I think he could pull away that top spot victory and take that bounty, knocking the 14Z of Burnett off of that winning streak.
He's got about 3 more laps to show everyone that he can do it. He does pull a little bit from Zach. Gets right up to that white tire and gets to his bumper again with that really weird line that we're seeing, but it just kills his exit momentum. He's got to change it up because there's no way he's going to check up like this as he gets real close again, and you just lose so much momentum there exiting. He's got to find a different line to make this pass happen. Suede's doing a great job running a defensive line. 2 laps to go here. We're just going to stick with the top 2 spots. That's truly what matters, that podium finish here. Zach again had to really check up. Oh man, really out of whack. I think that was his last effort there. Suede just needs to run a nice solid last lap here, and I think he's got this in the bag. There's Zach trying the high side because, you know, what's to lose at this point? Really lost that momentum in turn 3. Entering the final corner here, Suede running the bottom for that nice easy corner here just to take the top spot, and Suede does it, takes P1 in tonight's main event in the Street Stock Mini Motorsport Door 35. Second place will be Zach Burnett. Then we got a 3rd place of Christopher Hill. 4th place, Jonathan Henry. Then it looks like it's going to be 5th place of Blake Trewick. 6th place for Jeremy Vaughn. 7th place for Kenny Haight. 8th place for Austin Yates. And around out the field will be Joshua Pack with an unfortunate gas shortage for him.
Yeah, and it's not the first time that we have seen miscalculation on fuel play a factor in how somebody finishes. If you remember a few weeks ago in the Big Block Super Dirt Car Big Block Modified Series, Jordan Gage gave up that top spot because he loaded in the wrong setup, loaded in the heat race setup, and had less gallons of fuel in the car, and gave up that victory to Sean Krawcheck. Krawcheck finally knocking Gage off of his winning streak that he had going for 2 to 3 weeks.
The car, but that can change how the car feels. The finish, I mean, sure he'll tweak that for next week to make sure he's safe and good to go for the whole race. So it looks like actually we have our third place finisher, Christopher Hill. Chris, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Chris, that was a pretty good performance out there tonight. The race start was very a lot of cars 3x3. It was very fun to watch from our end here. You put a hell of a show on with Jonathan Henry. How did you feel how the racing was out there tonight?
Oh, the racing was good. It was just kind of threw me off guard because I didn't have the right gear in to run the.
Yeah, it surprised me too. I saw a lot of weird lines. I was expecting a lot more in the top, which the middle of the race I did show quite a few people going up to the top, and then after that it's just a complete 180 there, and everyone's running the bottom, and then some people are throwing it real deep, and I think I saw one car on the top. Really surprising overall. But you said your setup was a little bit more geared to the top side. You just tried the bottom because that's where the preferred line was. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean it was obvious that the bottom was running quite a bit faster than the top tonight for whatever reason. So, learning experience, I guess. Maybe not enough cars to burn it down. I'm not sure. I just tried a new gear and it wasn't quite what we needed.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I mean, it was enough to get you a podium finish. Again, an excellent race, excellent showing out there. I know that you had stated that your gearing was just off a little bit. Now, with that said, I like to play devil's advocate a little bit here. You had a fantastic start to that race, and the first 5 laps, you were up there with Melgard and Burnett, and all you guys were running side by side and swapping positions. If this track and that high line would have come in more suitable to your gearing, do you feel that you would have had anything been able to challenge for that top spot?
Get past them. Sweet was pretty smooth out there. Zach's always smooth. They ran pretty good races all throughout, so it was tough to make a move when it's a one-laner.
Yeah, and as you stated, it's this was not common of a typical Charlotte race. We expect that high line to come in, and it never really came in to the full extent that we're accustomed to. But again, you and Henry put on a hell of a show back there for that battling for that final podium position for third. You guys were going side by side. What was coming to mind when you guys were running side by side on the closing laps there? Because I know racing instinct, you're wanting to try to get as much as what you possibly can. So what was going through your mind running side by side with Henry?
Honestly, just trying to hit my marks, get through the corner as fast as possible without bogging the car down too bad. And when we were racing side by side, I just
on a hell of a show. You battled through even with the gearing issue that you had mentioned earlier in this interview. And I tell you what, it paid off. You've again excellent finish on there. Well deserved, hard earned. You can't say much more than that. So again, that's a hell of a job out there. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out to? And again, congratulations on your third place finish, and again, congratulations on a first and third place 2 podium finishes for your team. So again, congratulations. That is Chris Hill, your third place finisher tonight.
All right, so it looks like we do have our second place finisher, Mr. Zach Burnett. Burnett, not the top spot. We talked about a bounty thing, and Sway just came in and said, I don't know what that is. So looks like you and him, though, put on a hell of a show late in that run there. Was your car geared more toward the long run there, or did was he just holding up your line, or what was going on there?
Yeah, I got in, me and Chris, I mean, it was just hard racing. It was no fault of his, no fault of mine. We got caught up battling for second at the beginning of the race, and it let him get out a little ahead of me, let the 15 car get a little ahead of me there, and I looked down and I was like a second and a half away at one point, and I found something really good on the bottom. Yeah, my car is, to answer your question, yeah, my car is geared and everything for the bottom. I come in here expecting to run the bottom because I knew I'd have to be doing something different, because if it usually gets little one line around the top here and there's just nothing else to do. So I came in expecting to run the bottom, and man, I got to him there, and I feel like that he just was, doing a little bit of looking in the mirror, which that's why it's there. That's exactly why it's there. I'd be doing the same thing. I feel like he was just doing a little bit of looking in the mirror, and he saw that was working so much for me. I mean, I made up over a second, during the lap. So once he got down there where I was running, I was trying some different things, but I just can't do, when somebody's in front of me in the fastest line, I just can't do nothing about it. So I just take a second place today.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the racing line there because it surprised almost every single one, especially Christopher Hill, who we just talked to. I expected it to be happen. It just seemed like there was a complete 180 about halfway through the race, and literally everyone at the same time, I think, went to the bottom and they all stuck. So I definitely threw off some people's game plans for sure. So with that being said, like you said, your car was geared more toward the bottom. Did you have anything maybe on the top if you would have tried it a little bit earlier on?
Yeah, I ran it there on the last lap, and it kind of felt like it. I tried it at the beginning of the race there, trying to just find a little bit of something, and it didn't work. I mean, it worked to get past Chris, but it wasn't working to catch up to the 015 car, and so I had to hop back down there on the bottom, and it just, I don't know. I wish maybe that I would have just tried it. One mistake on the bottom there, that I could have got my nose in there, and I knew the bottom was working still, and I was just trying my best. I was just more hoping for a mistake than me searching, and I should have searched around and found just tried something different. But I was just really banking on a mistake or him just one little slip up, and I feel like I could have got my nose in there. I feel like I was a little bit. He was kind of leaving me on the exit, but I was really making up some ground on the entry, and so I was really just banking on a mistake, hoping that he would just go wide a little bit, but it just didn't happen.
Now, you were talking about that you were making up a lot of ground on entry and losing on exit. That was something that Jeremy and I were talking about while we were watching this, because it was a wild corner entry going through. Because, man, I mean, you dug it down there. I mean, you threw it in there. You dug it down there. A couple of times I seen that you had to correct it because you were getting pretty close to those aerospace launchers we call the white tires on the inside lane. It seemed like it killed off on the exit a little bit. And my question to you is did the line that Melgard was running, did that also pose an issue with that line trying to pretty much killing your speed and momentum that you had on your entry?
Yeah, he was. I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with using the mirror. It's why it's there. But he was just he could not have made that car any more wide than it was. I mean, it just he was just doing exactly what you had to do to keep the leader behind you, or the second place car behind you being the leader, and it was breaking my momentum. I was having to get on the binders a little bit, and it just wasn't working out. I feel like if I could have got the reason I was making up ground is, I was just getting out there. I was by myself, and I was just getting to do the entry. It was a wild entry. I've never run that kind of line before. I kind of just ran it once just to see if it would stick, and it stuck. And it just like you said though, he was breaking my momentum a little bit, and he was just doing everything that you had to do to keep the guy behind you, and he done a good job at that.
That he did, but it was not through lack of effort on your part. That is for sure. I'm going to take a little bit of this. I don't know if I jinxed you. I was the one in the broadcast that brought up about the bounty system, and I brought up the question to Jeremy whether or not today was going to be the day that your run was going to end in these dirt street stocks here, and it did. I mean, it wasn't by much, but it was enough. My question to you, is that going to drive you even harder now and kind of fuel the passion and the fire for this series here that you have to next week be sure you come back to try to reclaim that throne?
Well, there's it was, at the end of the day, it was the driver's fault. It wasn't the car. It wasn't the setup. It wasn't nothing like that. It was driver. It was all driver, because I qualified on pole. I had every chance to win the heat race and start on the pole and lead every lap and ride off into the sunset. But if there is an excuse that I can make, just didn't get to make the Charlotte race yesterday, because usually, like I said last week in my interview, usually try to make a ton of practice laps. Just try to get this car dialed, try to get the setup and the car dialed in. And had to work comes first. Had to take a trip to Fort Worth, Texas. It was a 36-hour round trip. Left 2 o'clock on Monday, and so I had First of all, shout out to Henry. He done some testing by himself. He didn't make the race. He didn't make the Charlotte race yesterday for the street stocks either, but he done some testing by himself, and he got this setup dialed in the best that he could by himself. With nobody to ask, nobody to lean on, and so I uh, came in today. Kind of didn't have any practice in the car. Kind of didn't have anything on this setup. Never had even got to run this setup, and that was the problem tonight. I don't feel like he jinxed me, and I don't feel like that I didn't have the winning car. I just feel like that if I could have got a few more practice laps in this week, could have maybe had something different. Could have came in with a little bit more knowledge than I had coming in, but it's all good. I'm racing this deal for points, and I still do believe I'm in the points lead. So we'll just come back next week, and we're going to win this thing.
And that's the attitude and mindset to have it. And let that be a lesson to you kids. Practice makes perfect. You heard it right here. I tell you what, though, I mean, for not having as much practice as what you or Henry are normally accustomed to, having a second place and a fourth place finish and well-deserved and well-earned finishes, to say the least, is not a bad night of racing either. And like I said, you got the right mindset. You already stated it. You're going to come back and you're going to get that win next week. That's what you're aiming for. Again, congratulations on a hard-fought, well-deserved second place finish. As always, again, we're going to get you a seat up here embroidered with your name on it because, I mean, it seems like we interview you in some way, shape, or form at the end of each race. So we might get that in the order here. Again, anybody you'd like to shout out to, any sponsors? I know you got people out there watching.
Yeah, shout out to my dad. Well, first of all, shout out to y'all for putting this thing on. Like Chris said, it's so fun to come in here and do this. But yeah, shout out to my dad, Burnett Transport. That's kind of the reason that I didn't get as much practice, but that's okay because that comes first. So shout out to him, and shout out to Statement Race Cars in Mississippi, and CarQuest of McMinnville, Tennessee, and everybody here in the house, my girlfriend, my mom, and dad for letting me come on here and play around on the computer during the week, and I really enjoy it. And like I said, just gonna come back next week and gonna take it home.
Absolutely, and you know what? We'll be here next week calling every lap of action to watch you do that as well. So again, congratulations on your second place finish. We're going to let you get out of here, go celebrate a little bit, kind of relax. Tell Henry big thanks on that one there, getting you up in that top three podium. But again, well-deserved. Congratulations again. That is your second place finisher, Zach Burnett.
Thanks, guys.
And patiently waiting here is the newbie of the league, Mr. Swade Melgard. Swade, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, welcome to the league. You put on a really good qualifying time, some good practice times, and then during the race, I figured when you had that big lead, you had a really good shot at it, and then Zach kind of chipped away, and almost got right up to your bumper there a few times and almost made a pass. How do you feel like, and how do you rate this league so far with your first race on board?
This is a really good league. I ran one or two races. I didn't realize they were even running an open setup league on Wednesdays, and my teammate Chris, he had mentioned it last week. So I got lucky the night I signed on that I saw it was up. I just came in cold and gave it a shot.
Came in cold and you still won the race. That's pretty impressive to say, none the least. As far as the racing on the track goes, we've commented or had comments made by Zach and Chris tonight. And the more you race here, it's either really high or really low. But for some reason, almost a little bit, maybe even 2/3 of the way through, the line went all the way to the very bottom of the track, and it seemed like most of the guys went there. For your personal experience, is that something that you've seen in the past, or is that something just like a one-off tonight, or what are your thoughts on that?
It was really weird. I anticipated it going up to the top. Kind of had my car set up for that, geared up that way, and when it didn't move up there, I mean, I think it was just because we didn't have a lot of cars. Honestly, it probably would have with more cars here. But when it went to the very bottom, I was like, oh God, because I didn't have the right gear. I just had to make it work, and I got out front and I got comfortable, and he got right back to me. That was my fault for just cruising instead of really trying to figure out where I needed to be. I got a little too comfortable.
But you know what? It's comfortable enough to get that top spot victory. So if that's what comfortable looks like, count me in every day of the week. I tell you what, Jeremy and I have been talking about up here since watching qualifying, showing the fast times. You are already probably well aware of it, and the viewers out there are already well aware of it now. But 1/1000th of a second separated Burnett's quick time from yours, so we knew from the drop of the green flag that it was going to be one hell of a show between you two. With that being said, your car, where was that geared towards? Because we had already talked about that a lot of it is we expect that high line to come in. Did you have more of a neutral car where the lines of Burnett, where his was more geared towards that bottom line, so anything outside of that was a little bit difficult?
I was going to be a lot faster through the middle and up high, just the way I had my car set up and geared, but it didn't really ever get up there, and we weren't really racing close enough to where I'd have to go up there and try. I think I would have been okay if I had to go, but my car was definitely not set up for the bottom, and you could tell there at the end when I was listening to your interview with Zach, and he was getting in way deeper than me, but I had to ease it in just to make it hook the bottom, and I could drive off real good, but I couldn't really throw it in there.
Yeah, and you obviously heard the interview. I mean, that was probably one of the wildest lines that we had seen from any of the drivers tonight, because he was throwing it in hard and deep and hoping it was going to stick. And I mean, he made it work to get that second place. My question is, as much as what he was right there chipping at the bit. Well, more chipping at your rear bumper. Is going through those corners on some of those lines. How much of that were you looking in your mirror trying to make that car maybe a little bit wider than what it comes stock?
I felt like as long as I held the bottom, he couldn't pass me, just because there's no way to dive it in there without hitting the tire any lower than I was going. And I was getting a really good drive off. If he would have got on the outside and made it stick, it might have been a different story. But that's why I was easing it into the corners. I could see the drive off was really giving him a hard time, and I didn't know what else really to do. I didn't want to open it up, and then I know he was diving it off in there, hoping I would slip up. And I don't know him. I haven't ran with him before, I don't think. So I was just hoping it was going to stay clean, but you never know when you get into a new league with new guys what's going to happen. But he ran me really clean, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I mean, it looked damn good up here too, with the way you guys were doing it. It was a close racing action all the way through. Again, I mean, your mindset on that, your strategy that you did that was just run your line, run a consistent line, and that line just so happened to take the wind out of the sails of the 14Z, allowing you to get that top spot on your triumphant return for this season here. Again, I hope that we get to see more of this because the racing action was good. The racing action was clean. And you did a hell of a job piloting that machine all the way through. Again, being that top spot, is there anybody out there that you want to shout out to? Any sponsors? Anybody watching?
My teammates at Hot Lap Heroes, I'm new to the team. It's kind of a new team in general we put together. All the credit goes to the setup work that Garrett Marshall and Kyle Jarrett put in on this. I haven't tuned on it one bit. I just take what they have and ran it. Like I said, I came in cold tonight. I didn't even run a lap before I came out here and joined this server. So definitely want to thank those guys and the rest of my teammates. Chris had a good run coming home third. My wife and daughter for putting up with it, with me racing all the time. And Melgar Motorsports and my other teammates from Hot Lap Heroes, Dane, Clay, all the guys that we hang out with and run with pretty much every night, trying to get faster. Just fun, hanging out with the fellas.
And that's what this is all about. Every driver wants to come in and win, and they want to be showcased. But at the end of the day, it's the relationships and the friendships and the overall just shooting the proverbial shit that is fun and is what makes it fun. Again, not a bad night for you and your teammate. 2 cars in the top 3 podium position. So again, congratulations to your team, and big congratulations to you on a triumphant return to Over the Limit with that top spot victory. Again, look forward to seeing you run again. Look forward to that race in action. We hope to see you a lot more. So again, that is your main event winner for the Mini Motorsport Doors 35, Swade Melgard. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Tell you what, Jeremy, that was a good race all the way around. A lot of side by side, a lot of racing action. You can't get much closer than Burnett and Melgard. You really can't. They were getting close, especially when Burnett was trying to make a run on it. The racing action between Hill and Henry. I mean, they were swapping spots back and forth. They were doing crossovers. I mean, there was racing action all the way around, and it was clean racing action and very tight. So that's the kind of action that we want to call.
That's the beauty of this track. A lot of tracks, they go high and then that's it, right? But this track promotes some inside line racing as well, which it makes it a lot of fun to call at this track, no matter what car you're running, basically. Because it does have multiple grooves. You can clearly see it here tonight. There's two definitely cut out lines here on the track. I expect nothing different in tonight's race after this broadcast is over with the big block modifieds. I expect a lot more of the same. It was cool to see two different groups of racing side by side. That thousandth of a second that separated the top two cars basically showed itself again there toward the end of the race. It took a little bit to get back to them going bumper to bumper, but they showcased a really fun race, and glad to be a part of that one.
That they did. With that being said, we are going to go over the unofficial finishing results for tonight's Mini Motorsport Doors 35 here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Again, these are unofficial, pending post-race review. If there's any penalties, they are issued at the end of the race, meaning that some of the finishing positions may change. With the racing action that we've seen here, Jeremy, I don't really see that these are going to be changing at any time soon. But nonetheless, again, unofficial results. Why don't you run us through them for us?
Sure thing. Swade Melgard, first race of the season, takes home the top spot on just a cold turkey start here. No setup practice from what he told us, so pretty impressive stuff overall. Second place, close second place, Zach Burnett. Third place was Christopher Hill. Fourth place, Jonathan Henry. Fifth place was Blake Trawick, which he was kind of like in the backpack, and he found his groove there late in the run and found himself in the top five. So that's some good stuff there for the newcomer here. Sixth place is Jeremy Vaughn. Seventh place will be Kenny Haight. Eighth place, Austin Yates, and then to round out tonight's field, and ninth will be Joshua Pack.
Yes, and then Garrett Cooper as well, who again did not take the grid and is being marked as 10th. Again, Jeremy, it seems like we've got that time because we've got another race to call. The racing action is not done for us here. We're going to be gearing up and getting ready to rock and roll with some high-powered big block modifieds at this track. But nonetheless, we have to thank all of those that have made this broadcast and this league possible, because without their support and backing, this would not be able to happen. If the league wasn't be able to happen, Jeremy, we wouldn't know what to be doing on a Wednesday night. So with that being said, again, we want to thank Mini Motorsport Doors. Again, novelty collector's items. They are aluminum race panel, side panels of race cars. You can make them look like real race cars. You can make them look like your sim race cars. You can put real sponsors. You can put your sim sponsors. You name it, you can put it on there. They do excellent craftsmanship, great work. They do come in two sizes. I believe the prices are $15 for one, $30 for the other one. Again, very good product, very unique product. I guarantee you're not going to see anything else like it out there on the net. Look them up at facebook.com/Mini Motorsport Doors. We want to thank Full Send Gaming, the main proprietor and owner of Over the Limit. And without their support, without their backing, without the vision, Over the Limit would not be here, nor would these high action-packed series that we get to call each and every Wednesday would not exist either. So again, thank you very much for that, Full Send Gaming. Nerditudes, the primary broadcast provider, being Nerd TV, is owned and operated by Nerditudes. Nerditudes covers you everything gaming wise. We offer creative live stream, custom content to any of the gaming world out there through our streamers. Again, we allow our streamers to do exactly what they love to do, and that's play games. and have people watch them while they do that. So if it has anything to do with video games or simulation, Nerditude's got your back. Again, Nerditudes, get your nerd on. And finally tonight, Hideaway Motorsports competitive setups and coaching. Again, it's a newer company on the market there, but their setups are not lacking in any sense whatsoever. These are winning setups. I have seen these setups win personally. I've ran some of these setups. I did not win in them, but I guarantee it wasn't the setup's fault. That was probably more driver fault, so I'm going to take fault just like Burnett did earlier. But again, excellent setups that they do have. And the coaching is professional and top-notch. Again, that is Hideaway Motorsports competitive setups and coaching. That's hideawaymotorsports.com. All right, Jeremy, any final thoughts tonight?
I mean, the racing was great. I like the higher driver count. Didn't down the quality any. So, I mean, I got 2 thumbs up. Excited for the remainder of this season for sure. Looks like we got more competitors for that top spot. Great to see. Yeah, no, just well-rounded. Everyone did a fantastic job. Really clean race. Everyone gave a lot of respect, and looking forward to the next weeks and coming.
And I could not agree with you any more on that statement. And with that, I think that is a perfect way to end this broadcast. Again, we'd like to thank everybody out there that is watching this live, or if you happen to be watching this on replay, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this race. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to enjoy Over the Limit and the dirt racing series that they do offer. Again, if you want notified on when we do go live, be sure that you follow Ballistic on Twitch, as well as Nerditudes on Facebook and the Nerditudes YouTube channel. We also do have an Over the Limit YouTube channel that is in the process of being set up as well. Some of the videos will be cross-hosted on there as well, so you'll be able to, at some point in time in the near future, be able to visit either one of those and get your dirt racing fix for the week. Again, thank everybody out there. Thank our sponsors, the drivers, league owners, and admins. It was an excellent event, and we look forward to calling the Big Block Mods here in just 30 short minutes. So for everybody out there, thank you for watching. Keep it clean, keep it safe, and we'll catch you at the track.